Okay, so hello Ashutosh, welcome on YourPedia platform, and let's start your RAC snap for your final DRDO interview. Okay, so Ashutosh, what is refrigeration?
Sir, refrigeration is a heat extraction, means एक्सटर्नल वर्क इनपुट के द्वारा सर कहीं भी सर टेम्परेचर रिड्यूस करने के लिए प्रोसेस को रेफ्रिजरेशन कहते हैं सर। सर और रेफ्रिजरेशन के लिए सर रेफ्रिजरेटर मतलब कंपोनेंट डिवाइस यूज करते हैं सर, रेफ्रिजरेटर करते हैं और मतलब whole as a refrigerator, but it includes a very different type of cycle, just such as VCRS, VARS, and Bell-Coleman cycle.
Ashutosh, have you seen some earthen pots? You know earthen pots, जो मिट्टी के घड़े होते हैं, those earthen pots we cool the water.
Yes.
So how we cool the water in those earthen pots?
Actually, sir, in earthen pots, sir, material is porous, and the temperature outside the earthen pot is a higher temperature. So, and as the means water pours out as a through a capillary action from those pores, from that temperature, it gets evaporated, partially evaporated. And if there is a flow of wind is also there, then means convection process is also there. So, sir, by that effect, sir, earthen pots get cooled.
Okay. So, what do you feel? Is there any effect on the cooling in the earthen pot if the outside relative humidity is higher? What will be the effect on the cooling process?
If relative humidity is high?
Yes.
Of course, sir, if relative humidity is high, then it means water does not have much capability to absorb more water from the earthen pot. Means from the surface of the earthen pot. Means relative humidity shows means water absorption capacity, water vapor absorption capacity. If it is at a saturation limit, then it is very hard. Means we can alter by variation of the temperature. Saturation limit can be altered, but if temperature is fixed and saturation limit is also fixed, and if we are working under saturation condition, then evaporation rate is very less from the earthen pot.
You heard about adiabatic saturation?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, adiabatic saturation is, sir, without we don't use a cooling coil in this. Without a use of cooling coil, we go a process of sensible cooling with the humidification process. And so it is a adiabatic saturation, means the curve should be touched to the saturation limit. Means at saturation, variable temperature, and that dew point temperature should be equal. Phi should be equal to, means relative humidity should be 100%.
Okay. Ashutosh, what do you understand by secondary refrigerants?
Okay. Sir,
what kind of properties required actually for a secondary refrigerant?
Sir, secondary refrigerant we mostly use in the casket system. And sir, why we use secondary refrigerant? Because sir, suppose sir, we have taken, means we are using a brine solution. Secondary refrigerant we use as a brine. Example of secondary refrigerant is a brine or water. So suppose we want to cool our milk, sir, and primary refrigerant is means a little bit toxic, and secondary refrigerant is used to reduce more refrigeration we should provide to reduce down to more temperature, so that secondary refrigerant is cooled with the help of primary refrigerant, and secondary refrigerant is used at the place where it is required, that is in a casket system, sir. Or sir, if you don't mind, I can explain more better in Hindi.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sir, जैसे सर कहीं भी फूड प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट में अगर कहीं भी लिक्विड मटेरियल जैसे कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, अगर उसको बहुत ज्यादा टेम्परेचर मीन्स ज्यादा हमको कूलिंग उसमें चाहिए। प्राइमरी रेफ्रिजरेंट जो है अगर टॉक्सिक है, और कर तो उससे भी सकते हैं प्राइमरी रेफ्रिजरेंट से ज्यादा कूलिंग, पर उसमें जो सर चांस होता है अगर मतलब लीकेज हो गया या कंटेमिनेशन हो गया फूड प्रोसेसिंग आइटम में, तो सर उसमें मतलब हार्म हो सकता है ह्यूमन बींग्स को। तो हार्म ना हो, तो उसकी वजह से हम सपोज करो सर सेकेंडरी रेफ्रिजरेंट में हम वाटर यूज कर रहे हैं, तो प्राइमरी रेफ्रिजरेंट से हम पहले सेकेंडरी रेफ्रिजरेंट को ठंडा करेंगे, और सेकेंडरी रेफ्रिजरेंट फिर मतलब इवेपोरेटर पे जाके वो एट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन उसको और भी चिल्ड करेगा, मतलब जितना हमारा डिजायर्ड होगा। और अगर लीकेज हो भी जाता है तो वाटर और ब्राइन सॉल्यूशन ऐसा कुछ हार्मफुल इफेक्ट नहीं प्रोवाइड करेंगे ह्यूमन हेल्थ को।
Okay. So can you draw, cycle diagram for VCRS?
ये सर
Draw VCRS cycle, Ashutosh, with the subcooling.
ओके ओके। So is it visible?
Mm-hmm. So this plot is on what, like TS or which one?
TS curve.
This is TS plot.
Yes sir, I have written mention over there.
Uh, so which one is the throttling process?
4 to 5 sir, in a dashed portion. I think here over here. This.
What advantage we get, Ashutosh, when we carry out subcooling?
Sir, refrigeration effect
How
is
we carry out
increased.
subcooling?
What sir?
How we carry out subcooling and what advantage we get by subcooling?
Okay. Subcooling can be carried out with the help of sir heat exchanger. And advantage of subcooling is that means refrigeration effect is increased, and work input is remain constant. So as refrigeration effect is increased, COP is increases. This is the effect of subcooling.
Ajay, can we carry out subcooling without superheating?
With, yeah, of course. So why superheating is required over here?
You mentioned about na heat exchanger. Some heat exchanger is required for subcooling.
Yeah, of course.
If you are using a heat exchanger, then definitely there will be some superheating of the refrigerant. So without a heat exchanger, how we can carry out subcooling?
सर कंडेंसर में सर गिव मी मिनट।
Mm-hmm.
Sir, according to the Fourier law, if we say Q is equal to minus K dt by dx, अगर हाँ कंडेंसर में हमें टेम्परेचर डिफरेंस बहुत मतलब टेम्परेचर सब कूलिंग में सर टेम्परेचर मतलब सैचुरेशन से कम करते हैं, और हमें सैचुरेशन से अगर कम करना है तो कंडेंसर का सर लेंथ बढ़ा मतलब लेंथ या लेंथ सर बढ़ा देंगे उसमें, तो सर उसमें क्या है कि हीट रिजेक्शन ज्यादा हो जाएगा। उसकी हेल्प से सर विदाउट एक्सटर्नल हीट एक्सचेंजर हम सब कूलिंग प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं उसको।
Mm-hmm. Means by increasing the size of condenser, we can carry out subcooling.
या
ठीक है. Ashutosh, can you tell me something about multi-stage compression system?
या सर
What?
मल्टी स्टेज कंप्रेशन सिस्टम इज we generally use to reduce our work input as well as to increase the volumetric efficiency. Sir, if we are compressing, suppose we are taking an air, we are compressing air in a one go from 1 bar to 16 bar. then it requires a large working input, as well as pressure ratio is also high, so volumetric efficiency reduces. And if we go by the stages, intercooling means multiple stages. So in the multiple stages, work consumption is little bit less than the actual. In a initial case, we have taken in a one go. As we increase the number of stages, sir, more less means उतना कम वर्क इनपुट हमको प्रोवाइड करना पड़ेगा.
Okay. Achha, on which particular cycle air refrigeration system works, and why actually refrigeration is required in aircraft? Aircraft flies at a very high altitude, where the
Yes.
atmospheric temperature is much lower.
Yes.
So why
So
refrigeration is required at high altitude? Second, which particular cycle we use in air refrigeration system?
Okay. So in air refrigeration system, we generally use Bell-Coleman cycle, or we can say it as a Bell-Coleman cycle, or we can say that it is a reverse Breton cycle. And at a higher altitude in an aircraft, we use air as a refrigerant because we can't means it is not convenient that we means we load external refrigerant, means heavier refrigerant in an aircraft. Unnecessarily, we have to create a load over there. So beside we are using different types of refrigerant, it is better to use air as a refrigerant, so that's it is easily available, also non-toxic also. Yeah. So
I asked you why refrigeration is required. Why not heating system? Because at high altitude, outside temperature is much lower. As we go up, the temperature decreases.
yes.
The height at which a aircraft flies, the outside temperature is much lower.
Yes.
So at that very low temperature, why refrigeration is required? Why not heating?
Sir, basically, refrigeration concept is is not only to decrease the temperature. As you are saying, why not heating? So, as the aircraft is flying, it is at different cabin pressure, and external pressure is different. And second thing is that means air conditioning is somewhat as
Air
that
conditioning may be heating or cooling.
air cooling is there.
Yes, but air conditioning means both heating and cooling, because we can have a summer air conditioning system also, and we can
Of course.
winter air conditioning system also. So both are air
Yes.
conditioning.
Yeah.
I'm asking you why cooling, why not heating? Achha, can you tell me something about throttling, Ashutosh? What is throttling?
So throttling is a isenthalpic process, and and
You heard about maximum inversion temperature, Ashutosh. What is maximum inversion temperature? What is that?
Pardon, sir.
What is maximum inversion temperature?
Sir, I haven't heard, sir.
Ashutosh, what is maximum inversion temperature?
Yes, means maximum inversion temperature, sir, I haven't means I'm not so remembered where I've read it.
You heard about inversion curve?
Yeah, of course. Inversion curve. Yeah, it is plotted on isenthalpic lines, and the maximum at it is somewhat Some maximum inversion temperature is about, sir, it is, so it's a saturation temperature of air.
No, it is not the saturation temperature.
So graph is somewhat like this. And so this is a constant enthalpy lines, and this is a saturation curve.
Which one is a saturation curve? These are not the saturation curve.
This is a saturation curve.
So
These are the inversion point.
inversion
These are the yes inversion curve, and these are the inversion points.
So the point where this inversion curve is cutting the temperature axis. So
Sir, where?
this point is known as maximum inversion.
Yes, but I don't have a that particular name for it.
You don't know the significance of this.
No, sir.
So my last question, Ashutosh, aapse, what is infiltration? What do you understand by infiltration?
So if we go by a meaning, then we can say that something penetration was over there, infiltration. But in terms of that RAC concept, sir, I haven't read it.
ठीक है आशुतोष, अभी मैं आपको फीडबैक दे देता हूँ.
Yes, sir.
Ashutosh, what I feel, your answers are looking like very much interrupted.
Okay.
You need to be fluent and very continuously in a very smoother way. You need to try to answer. Okay. It's looking like you are at various positions. It's looking like you are lack of words. You're not getting sufficient words to answer that particular question. Okay. And second thing, be much more formal, Ashutosh. Okay.
Sir, like that.
You need to be more formal.
In which sense, sir?
You need to understand like what interview is asking you, and then you cannot give such kind of expression. Oh, I missed those kind of things.
Oh, okay.
Be very formal. Listen to the interviewer. Okay, what he's asking you. Okay, and then take a pause and then only try to answer.
Okay.
Second, although your understanding is looking fine, I observed like you answered some questions, like I asked you about how heat transfer, how the cooling actually we carry out in earthen ports. So that you answered. You need to mention about the evaporative cooling process. So how you need to start, sir? In earthen ports, actually we carry out the cooling by using evaporative cooling technique. So now, sir, let me explain you how evaporative cooling takes place. In a very systematic way, you need to highlight.
Yes.
Answering is not important. How much your answers are convincing, that matters. That is a basic aim of communication. Communication doesn't mean you need to only mention something. That is not a good way of communicating. Communicating means you need to convince the person with you are interacting. You need to convince him. Are you getting, Ashutosh?
Yes.
So अभी आपके जो answers हैं, your answers are not looking very much convincing.
Okay.
Although it is looking like you're understanding, like you know the things, but try to make your answers more convincing. Okay.
Okay.
When an aircraft flies at a high altitude, heat generation is going to take place. About drag, Ashutosh.
Yes,
when an aircraft flies, the air which is present in the atmosphere, it is going to offer huge resistance.
Yes.
To the motion of the aircraft, and due to that resistance, the heat is going to generate.
Yes, sir.
So if you will not provide any cooling system in the aircraft, then it will be very much difficult for the person sitting in that cabin.
Yes,
because huge heat generation takes place, and that heat is going to enter into the cabin only if you are not removing it.
Of course.
Second, the heat also enter into the cabin due to some kind of solar radiations.
Yes.
There are lots of occupants also there in the cabin. They're also going to liberate our body, liberate huge amount of. So that's why the cooling system is required, not heating. Fine.
Yes.
Inversion point क्या होता है? Ashutosh, if a particular gas, a real gas is having a maximum inversion temperature much lower, means we will lie in which region? If a gas maximum inversion temperature is much lower,
Yes.
okay, so what will happen? Inversion temperature is lower. What it means? It means the atmospheric conditions. Okay, the temperature at which you are carrying out throttling is maybe higher. Okay,
Yes.
what will happen? We will lie in the region right of the inversion curve.
Yes. Yes.
So the gases, all gases which are having this maximum inversion temperature very low, it means for all those gases, when you will carry out throttling, their temperature is going to increase. Heating will take.
Yes. Yes.
There are some gases like hydrogen or neon, they are having a very low maximum inversion temperature. The gases which are having very high maximum inversion temperature, so for all those gases, when we carry out throttling at some conditions, okay, so we will lie in the region left of the inversion curve, fine. So their temperature is going to drop. So the gases which are having high inversion temperature, maximum inversion temperature, for all those gases, the temperature is going to decrease. Cooling is going to take place. So their Joule-Thomson coefficient will be positive.
No, sir. I get it, sir. I remembered, sir. What I have studied, what I have skipped. I remember, sir. This I've already studied, sir.
Great, great, good. So go through
Yes.
more detail about that. Infiltration is nothing but the leakage of some atmospheric air into the cooled space, air conditioned space. Okay, so if there is some air leaking is taking place, maybe from some window or door or maybe some other cracks. So whatever air is leaking inside the air conditioning space, that is known as infiltration.
Okay.
Air intentionally which we are atmospheric air which intentionally we are bringing into the system just to maintain some kind of oxygen level, that is known as ventilation.
Yes.
But air which is leaking, we don't want that air to enter into the system, but that air is leaking, that is known as infiltration, fine.
Yeah.
And that is going to bring some additional load on the system, both latent and the sensible heat load.
Yes.
Okay, to have some more detail about throttling, subcooling, superheating, I asked you some question from that. So subcooling we can carry out by injecting some water over the condenser. So if you use some water cooled condenser in place of air cooled condenser, we will be able to carry out the subcooling.
Yes, sir.
Or otherwise we can use some maybe larger condenser of larger area. By increasing the area of condenser also we can carry out subcooling by
Yes,
increasing
sir.
the size of condenser, right? And the third way is what? Using some kind of liquid suction heat exchanger. But with that, superheating is also going to take place.
Yes.
ठीक है, ठीक है आशुतोष, मेरे ख्याल से नॉलेज है आपका, योर नॉलेज इज लुकिंग फाइन, बट मेजर थिंग इज व्हिच आई ऑब्जर्व्ड इज व्हाट you need to make your answer more smooth and continuous. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, in real interview, we've very means fluctuate in a language that means
Yes,
once
yes,
at a time I am
yes,
using as a English
you can
then
mix,
Hindi.
you can mix, not issue. You can
Okay.
mention and you can use, although it is not required to mention. Okay, you need to mix the word like that, it will look like you are in comfortable state, Astosh.
Okay.
You can mix Hindi and English words.
Okay.
But if it is looking like you are facing difficulty in speaking English and then you are mixing Hindi, that is not
No,
the right.
sir.
Okay.
Means that, communication is not an issue over there. Means if I am going to practice, then it will definitely become in a flow.
Yes, yes. So that
Yeah.
flow you have to maintain.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ashutosh, good luck.
Okay,
Yes, Sunny Kumar.
Yes, sir.
So for which subject you want Snap, Sunny? I think you requested for thermodynamics, time, na?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, शुरू करते हैं.